Welcome to the EOB podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Binh, and joining me is Sen Dong. So, hey, Sen, we're back.
I'm back. You've been back, right?
I've been back, but I've been out also. There's the holiday festivities.
Yeah.
Experienced my internet going down
Oh,
and family members getting sick. So, I'm back, but I'm not back.
you're back as in Arnold's back in Terminator Genesis.
Oh,
Kind,
yeah,
kind of
that's
back, but not really back.
right. Physically back.
Yeah, physically back. Yeah.
When we left off, right, we said we would return to talk about Star Wars.
hmm
Didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, I don't think anyone would want to listen to a podcast during the holidays anyway, right?
Yeah.
They would
Um,
rather go out and do holiday stuff.
yeah. Although, I mean, during the holidays was we missed out on the whole crazy Star Wars box office phenomenon.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But
Uh,
you want to get to that or
yeah, let's get to it then.
so?
Before our internet goes out or something else technical happens.
I know. Let's get through this, okay? Let's start with the number one movie this past weekend, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, repeating at number one for the third straight week. Going by what you say previously, saying that in December, and usually December. Hold on. Usually December.
Okay.
Okay, well, hold on.
All
Someone's
right.
calling me. Okay. Usually December movies I won't break any records, but hey, what happened?
This is what I want to talk to you about. It's one of those things where you have all these people who don't normally look at the numbers, who normally don't write box office analysis, hearing this hype, responding to it, and coming up with all these crazy numbers. Like, oh, this movie is going to break the all time opening weekend record. It's going to destroy the box office worldwide. 500 million opening worldwide is guaranteed. 2 to 300 million, 300 million opening weekend in the U.S. Records are gonna shatter, and then you have all these people who look at the box office numbers for decades and go, "Hey, calm down here. There's nothing in our history that points to records breaking in December." So they're basically you're one of these guys who don't look at the numbers and who are just overreacting to the hype. And then all these people who, these experts, these analysts, who look at these numbers on a daily basis, have to eat their words, because once in a while, someone outside the box will say something that's just, so out of there, and then it happens, and then you're like, oh, God damn it, we have to listen to all these guys who doesn't look at the numbers and
Right. It's kind of like that crazy guy that stands in the corner and just saying, "Hey, the world's coming to an end." One of these days, that he might be right? But it could
yeah,
take
exactly.
forever,
Yeah, like Chicken Little, pretty much. Yeah,
right? Or the
and
big
that's so
one,
fun.
the earthquake is coming, but
Yeah,
we don't know when,
yeah, exactly. And then it happens,
right?
and this is an example of that. I mean, all these records they were talking about, breaking the all-time opening record in the U.S., all-time worldwide record, and then it's gonna be break Avatar's record domestically and worldwide. The amazing thing is Star Wars: The Force Awakens has done even better. By tomorrow, it's gonna break Avatar's total box office in the U.S. It's already made 740 million at the end of Sunday, and by the end of today or tomorrow, it's going to go over 760 million in the U.S. And they did it in just a couple of weeks, whereas Avatar took months.
Right. I mean, it's amazing. When I was watching this, when the movie opens, like there's like one record after another falling down. It's like okay, best whatever, like Thursday night previews, best
Yeah.
Fridays. I think it missed out on Saturday and Sunday record, right?
I think when the final numbers came out, it might have missed out Saturdays, but it ended up beating the Sunday figure
Right. But anyway,
of the
one
best.
after another, just these all these records just keep on falling, and it
Yeah,
happened in a month where as we know historically, these kind of things doesn't happen,
yeah, right.
right?
Movies do open. This is the second best movie season of the year. The best being summer, and most of the major records are broken in the summer. December is when movies open kind of modestly well, but they tend to be leggy. They make their money every single day, and it's one of those things where they stay in the theaters and they make their money through the long run. Whereas in the summer they make most of their money in the first couple of weeks, and Star Wars kind of broke that trend. It's like you can have record now. You can't say, oh, you can't have record breaking box office in December.
Right. And also, remember Jurassic World?
Yeah.
The highest grossing movie in 2015?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Star Wars broke that.
Yeah.
It didn't take long. It didn't take long. We thought, hey, it might take a while for a movie to, break Jurassic World's record, but it happened just a couple months later.
Yeah. And we thought it might take a while to break Avatar's record, and hey, it's gone. It's going to be gone by tomorrow.
Yeah, this is kind of like once in a lifetime event kind of thing, where Star Wars, The Force Awakens, kind of like everything just came together, and it happened.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where it's a good movie, but it's not a groundbreaking movie. It's just one of those movies that capture, what people like about the first Star Wars films, the original trilogy. And they just gave that to the audience, and they were satisfied, and they want to go back and watch it over and over because of, I guess, especially the fans. There's all these theories about who some of these characters in the film are and how they're related, and they're going back to figure out all these clues.
Right.
Well, that's one of the theories anyway, on why people are going back and watching it 2 or 3 times, if not more.
Well, I suspect that it's that the world that George Lucas created in the first, episode 4, 5, and 6, people just want to return to that world. Everything is high-techy at the same time it's run down. Whereas the episode 1, 2, and 3, everything's plasticky, everything's clean, everything's futuristic. I think people miss that world, and I guess like once Abrams went back to it, like real sets, everything's sturdy, gritty, and everything. I think people just want to return it, and they feel at home. I guess that's my feeling.
Yeah, and plus Abrams wrote a story without cringe-worthy lines or characters.
Right. In other words, he's not George Lucas.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, you do hit on an important note, though. I mean, when you watch the original trilogy, because they didn't have digital effects yet, or it's very primitive, they use a lot of practical effects, real sets and stuff. And when you watch the original trilogy during some of the battle scenes, they do look very realistic. Instead of the smooth-looking airplanes, you have things that actually look real, like they're, like the actors are actually interacting with real things rather than just CGI.
Right. Of course, you heard about it, right? George Lucas didn't really like the look of the movie.
Right.
He think of himself as a trailblazer. He always try new stuff. This one, he feels that is retreading old ground.
Yeah. I mean, George, he was though. I mean, when you look at his original films before Star Wars blew up, he was very experimental and very forward-thinking. The films that he made are very different, from the films back then, and they all kind of edgy. He was a trailblazer. The only thing is, I think, he got overly reliant and overly enthusiastic about digital effects. He focused too much on the digital effects rather than the practical effects. Because even with Steven Spielberg and a lot of filmmakers like James Cameron, when you mix in practical effects with digital effects, that's when you do it in a way that the audience can't tell, well, is that practical effects or is that digital effects? When they can't tell, then they feel like they're kind of more immersed. But when they can tell that, oh, this is just all CGI, it feels a little bit unnatural. In the original trilogy, when you like the Empire Strikes Back, for instance, in one of the scenes when one of the fighters is in a jet plane and he's flying through the space battle, you do like when you watch it, you feel like you're right there. Mm-hmm. But when you watch the new, the prequels, it just seems like CGI backgrounds.
Well, yeah, you can see it in his, Lucas's filmmaking too, in like
Yeah.
his excess, his indulgence in all these CGI stuff. I mean, like he's a guy who doesn't like empty space, right? If it's
Yeah.
empty, he fills it up with something. That's why he went back into the original, like 4, 5, and 6, and fill in all this stuff.
I'm one of those guys who actually thought, sure, I can understand, leaving the films as is, as a for historical purposes, and allowing people to see the original trilogy as is good. But when I rewatched the original trilogy, there are also scenes that I feel like show this age, show this primitiveness. I think the fans are gonna hate me for saying it, but you know what? I didn't have much of a problem with him going in and redoing some of the scenes, because especially the ball scenes in A New Hope, episode 4, with all these puppets or animatronics, very crude. I can tell. I feel like, wow, this scene looks so dead now. In that ball scene, where a lot of the characters just look like really primitive animatronics. And when he updated that, I actually felt like it was an improvement, because I think that the problem that a lot of people have is that he won't release the original films as is without the upgraded tweaks and CGI retouching that he did. I can see his point of view when I rewatched the original trilogies. Some scenes do feel very dated. And when he updated it, I actually thought it was an improvement.
You're right. But I can understand where these fans are coming from. You change the
Yeah.
movie, you change their story, you change the story, and you change their viewpoint of it. The stuff that they believed in for
Yeah.
all these years. So that's why they're so
I think-
opposed to it.
Yeah, I think it's like plastic surgery. If you just do a little touches, just a few touches, it's great. But it's when you get overboard. I think that's the fear there, is that George Lucas will keep on going back and keep on tweaking things until you don't recognize the original film anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You pretty much change up the story, right? Wait, like the most controversial, right? Han shot first.
Yeah, right. Like, I think, some things he can change, like maybe once, but leave it alone afterwards. Is like, I feel like some of the like the ball scene I mentioned felt pretty dated and pretty lifeless.
Right.
When I rewatched it. Like, I don't mind that, but like content wise, changing the content, I don't think he should do. And like plastic surgery, I think you should only do it once and leave it alone.
Okay, so
and then we kind of digress.
I know, just Star Wars: The Force Awakens, a movie we both thought, wouldn't break any records. Based on I guess historical record, I thought it would do like maybe 110, 115. Decent weekend.
No, we thought it would probably do the figure that it did last weekend, 88 million.
Yeah, I actually went higher. I actually went higher. I thought it's gonna make at least more than episode 3. Open more than episode 3, because hey, it's kind of like return to what people liked about the movie.
Right.
But then I didn't expect it to blow away Jurassic World's record.
Yeah, in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So what's your final figure on Star Wars: The Force Awakens? I think this is the last weekend when I think it's going to have these huge numbers, because now all the kids are back to school, parents are back to work. Historically, there's a huge drop next week in box office, like precipitous drop.
I think it's still gonna be #1 movie next week.
Oh,
this
yeah.
weekend, so
yeah, it's still gonna be #1. But now, do you think it's gonna make $1 billion?
Domestic?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
at 740 already, and just over the weekend it made 88 million. That's nearly 90 million. So now the thing is, historically, usually films in the top 10 usually have a precipitous drop next week. So with that in mind, I mean, Star Wars, the only problem is it kind of broke every historical record, or trend. So the fact that I'm using historical trends and records to describe how it's going to do in the following weeks is kind of like, it almost goes against what it has done so far.
1 billion, I think it's like tough, if not impossible.
Well, it's already at 740. There's only
I
like at
I
least
know
another 260.
I know, but then I don't know. It could probably do 900, but 1 billion. You think it's gonna do 1 billion?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, just over the weekend, it made 88 million, 88.3 million.
It's possible. I think this movie will carry on. Will be in theaters for quite a while,
All
right?
right,
But
so good. So make your stand.
I
One
make my
billion or
stand.
not?
I
Make
I,
one
I
billion or not?
okay. I will have to say no.
Okay, I'll just to
It's
be different. I'll say yes,
okay, cause like
and let's see who's right.
I could be wrong too, because like everything I knew and said about this movie was wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot
You
of
know?
basically everyone who analyzed the numbers, who look, all these box office analysts and writers were wrong about this. It's really the people who were outside of that circle were right on this. Like you said, there's a person who's like, "Oh, the world's ending," and then everyone ignores them.
Right,
Suddenly happen.
and this is a movie that people could watch multiple times and not feel bad about.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
true.
right?
Yeah,
So I don't know. I say no, but I know that there's a possibility. Like this is an unprecedented movie,
yeah.
right?
Okay,
It could set a new record.
right. So you're saying no, I'll say yes, and then we'll see how it does in the
All right, way to
coming
go,
weeks.
Roger and Ebert
Yeah,
on this movie.
yeah, right.
Wait, Roger and Ebert? No, who's that a guy?
Roger and Ebert.
Cisco, yes,
Cisco and Ebert.
Cisco and
Cisco.
Ebert. Okay, way to go, Cisco and Ebert on this one. Sorry, Gene. Sorry, Gene. Yeah,
Yeah,
we shouldn't forget you, but hey.
yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on to number two.
Yeah, Daddy's Home. The Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg comedy. They're holding up really well. I mean, it made 29 million over the weekend. Only a 25% drop, and after 2 weeks, it's made 94 million. Looks like this comedy duo of Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg is doing pretty well. There's
Hmm.
something in there.
Right. Okay, just to be clear, I mean, there was no new releases last weekend. It was just all carryovers from the previous week during
Hmm.
Christmas holidays. Daddy's Home had a 38 million opening,
Hmm.
which is amazing considering, hey, Star Wars is in theaters, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Reviews weren't good, 28% on the tomato
Yeah,
meter, B plus in
right,
the score. But
right.
hey, it has Will Ferrell. He's always good for 25 million, or it
Yeah,
could be 100 million, right? And then
yeah,
Mark Wahlberg. He's
yeah.
pretty bankable.
Although the thing here is, Will Ferrell's films hasn't been drawing the kind of numbers that he's used to. But even with the movie that he did with Get Hard with Kevin Hart, I mean, it did decent, but it's not his usual like 100 million plus grossing film. So Will Ferrell's been kind of sliding downwards, but still bankable. And it looks like with Get Hard, opening numbers wise, and this one, he's kind of back. And I'm surprised that pairing him up with Mark Wahlberg, maybe because Mark Wahlberg's a serious guy and he's a comedian, is a better mix than, let's say, Get Hard, where he's paired up with another comedian.
Right, right. So it's a straight guy,
Yeah,
funny
funny
guy
guy.
pairing.
Yeah, pairing that makes it work better.
And Mark Wahlberg's box office track records on not bad.
Yeah, yeah, his track record is pretty good. You put Will Ferrell in the right pairing, in the right kind of film, he's still very bankable.
Right, and this is a comedy in the holiday season. I think it's funnier than a couple of the ones that are in theaters, right? Like
Um,
what are
Sisters.
oh yeah, sisters. Well, we'll get to that, but like Love the Coopers, The Night Before.
Yeah, yeah. Although most of those films have disappeared already, though. Thing with that is, like you said, you have Star Wars and nothing else, and then here's a comedy. I mean, they're sisters,
Mhm.
probably because the stars are two women. Is probably the demographic is probably more women than guys, and then
Mhm.
Daddy's Home is two guys, so the demographics is probably more guys than women. So you
Mhm.
got two comedies, one for guys, one for women. they're good counter programming to Star Wars.
Yeah, but I would also argue that Daddy's Home is more of a family film, even though it's like about two guys. But it's about two guys fighting over the family. Like,
Right, it's about dads competing with stepdads for their kids' affection.
right. So I think that's more friendly family than the other comedies.
Maybe, although I thought it is interesting because in the holidays you usually see films with the traditional family, the mother and father, whereas this one has, the divorced parents fighting with each other for, their kids' affection. It is kind of different. You don't see this too much in.
Right, and going by the trailer, right? They're both decent guys, right? Normally one is a jerk, and you know who to
Yeah,
root for,
and
but
usually that jerk is the stepdad.
right,
And by the end of it, the original parents get back together.
right. But this is kind of different. It's more like
Yeah,
two guys coming to an understanding, maybe, and share the family, maybe.
yeah, right. All right, let's move on to number three.
The
The
Hateful
new,
Eight.
the new Quentin Tarantino movie made 16.2 million over the weekend, and after 2 weeks and a few more weeks in limited release, it's made about 30 million on a budget of 44 million, which is surprising to me that he's able to make this movie for a modest budget. So it's going to be a profitable movie, but I'm not sure how well it's going to hold up though. The opening, it is kind of softer than his previous films.
Right. The Hateful Eight. Remember, is the movie that Quentin Tarantino wasn't going to make because, yeah, I guess one of his confidant leaked out the script.
Mm-hmm.
And then after some thinking over, he decided to make it again. It's a western again, just kind of like Django Unchained,
Mm-hmm.
and it stars his usual people like Sam Jackson.
It is decently well reviewed, 75% on the tomato meter. It's going to probably be up for a few Oscars, and the only thing is the opening is softer than his previous film, so I'm not sure if this can get to 100 million because we're already at the end of the holiday season, where next week is gonna movies will usually drop like a break next week.
Well, the Hateful Eight. I think people already seen this movie.
Uh,
I think it was called Dragon Gates Inn or something like that, right? And it's various remakes. you know,
yeah. Dragon Gate, yeah. The Soy Hawk remake of a remake of a remake.
right. So I think they've seen it a couple of times, and it right now just called it Hateful Eight.
Asian audiences have seen it a couple of times.
They have, but Quentin Tarantino, right?
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino.
Those are his audience too.
Yeah, that's true. He's just repackaged it for Western audiences.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a typical Quentin Tarantino movie, right? Its opening and its box office figures, like his weaker movies. It's better than Grindhouse, but it's probably going to be in the Kill Bill range, right?
I'm not sure because even the Kill Bill movies, like the first one opened to 22 million and the second did 25 million. Compared to his recent films, it's better than. I mean, it's better than when he first started. It's better than Pulp Fiction, but Pulp Fiction was like really leggy. It's better than Jackie Brown, but Jackie Brown's kind of like a middling Tarantino movie. But when you compare it to a string of hits like Kill Bill 1 and 2, Inglourious Basterds, and Django Unchained, it's kind of on the lower end.
The Hateful Eight doesn't have, Leonardo DiCaprio. It doesn't have Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it's going to be lower.
Yeah, I think it might end up with 60 range like the Kill Bill, and like you said,
Yeah.
because he doesn't have, doesn't have a Leonardo DiCaprio, and doesn't have
Brad Pitt,
Brad Pitt. Yeah,
which is fine. I say it's kind of like his, I guess, average movie, like kind of like, and it's kind of in the same ballpark, if not lower than the Kill Bill movies.
yeah. Maybe it'll end up on that range.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it'll definitely do better than Jackie Brown.
Yeah, it should go over next week. I think about
well-
50 million range ish.
Yeah, probably 60,
Mhm.
and then but it doesn't look like it'll get to 100 though.
Right? No, it won't. It won't.
Which means with a Tarantino movie, if you don't have Leonardo DiCaprio or you don't have Brad Pitt, it's not making 100 million, but it'll still be modestly successful.
Right. I mean, it's made for like 44, which is pretty
Yeah.
good. the budget
Yeah.
for this type of
So
movies.
they kind of know going in, that hey, we don't have Leo and we don't have Brad. Gotta lower our expectations. Or maybe because he doesn't have Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, the budget he's able to bring the budget to 44 million.
That's also true.
You know, because with those guys, they'll at least take up 20 million.
Well, I mean, he could call in a few favors and say, "Hey, could you lower your price?"
Yeah. All right. Let's
All right.
move on to the other comedy that we talked about previously. Sisters is the reteaming of Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. They've made a couple films together already, and they've always done well at the box office together. Them separately, not as reliable, but the two of them together has been pretty reliable. And Sisters made 12.6 million over the weekend, held up really well. 11% drop off. After 3 weeks of release, it's already made 62 million on a modest budget of just 30 million. So we're going to be seeing more Tina Fey, Amy Poehler movies in the future.
I thought Sisters would be kind of like Daddy's Home, where it's the perfect counter programming to Star Wars.
Yeah, they are. Both of them are.
But then again, it didn't open as well as I thought it would. Like Sisters opened to just about 14 million. I thought it would do probably 25 to 30. Because it's of the counter programming, but it didn't draw as much. Maybe just during that weekend, everyone went to watch Star Wars if they could get in. Right?
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. So that's why. But
Because
the important thing is that it held on, and its box office figure continued to improve.
yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it does seem like the perfect counter programming because with Sisters is a comedy with two female stars. Star Wars, The Force Awakens, even J.J. Abrams said, the Star Wars franchise does have a more appeal to boys than girls. But that gets thrown out the window because he cast a female lead in the film. And he also cast an African American in the film, which is probably why it's doing so well too, is that it appeals to all groups of demographics. Now you have all the boys going to see it because the lead in the film is a woman. You have girls and women seeing it too. And because the other lead is an African American, you have the African American crowd too, which is probably why.
Wait. And then you have the robots, and then you have the children seeing it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those films that hits every single demographic. And maybe that's why it's so appealing.
And when Sister opened, right, I was like, 14 million, it's gonna not do well. But then, hey, in this third week, it already crossed 60 million.
Yeah, Sisters is actually kind of how films perform during the Christmas holidays. Miss Congeniality, for instance, opened during Christmas. It only opened to like 10 million or so. And then it ended up making 100 million. Every weekday is almost like a weekend. And if you look at the grosses during the holidays, it is though, because even Star Wars was making like 40 million a day. And turns out Sisters was making, well, not 40 million, but it was doing comparable to a weekend number during the weekdays. Which is why, like we said, during this holiday season, this is a holiday season where movies don't break records, except unless it's Star Wars. But it makes its money, through the long run.
Right. Yeah, Star Wars just threw everything out.
Yeah. Now with this extras, we always have to say, well, this is a season where movies don't break records, except unless you're Star Wars. So now we have to throw in Star Wars into every one of these conversations.
Right, Star Wars or Avatar or whatever.
Well, no, even Avatar. Avatar, wasn't.
We don't know. Who knows? Maybe Avatar 2 will break, the Force Awakens record. We don't know. That's the thing with these cultural phenomenons, I think.
Yeah, that's what people have said in the past. They're like, look, even Avatar and Titanic didn't break any records during this season. And those two films eventually ended up being before Star Wars, were the top two grossing films in the US and in the world. And those films didn't break records in December. So what makes you think Star Wars would do it? And then,
Yeah, Star Wars is the movie that makes every box office analyst look stupid.
Yeah. And that guy in the corner who says the world's ending, now we always have to like it could happen, not likely, but it could happen.
Right. Okay, let's move on to number 5, Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Chip. It's a sequel.
I'm surprised this is already the fourth film.
It is. I guess everyone is surprised. I think they forgot the previous three. So it opened to about 14.4 million. It is where I had it. The
Mhm.
movie to open at. Very poorly reviewed, 13% on the tomato meter, but it has a high cinema score, A minus. So because of kids, this is a franchise that lost steam with its subsequent movie, right? The first movie opened
Yeah,
the huge, and the second one,
like
like
45 million.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it just continues to drop off from there. And I'm surprised they actually made another one.
Because they're relatively cheap to produce, um, and they also surprisingly do really well worldwide. I mean, the first Alvin and Chipmunks I think made like 240 million in the U.S. and then it made about the same amount overseas. And the second one didn't do nearly as well, but it still ended up making like I think 120 million, and then overseas I think it did just as well overseas, if not better. But the thing is, these films are modestly budgeted. I think they might have lowered the budget for this one, but I'm not sure. I think, but the first film I think only cost about 70 million,
Yeah, I
and I'm
think that's where the movies go. It's like 60 to 70-ish million range.
and so we might see more because this film has already made 67 million, and that's probably its budget. And that worldwide is going to do pretty well because the previous films have done well worldwide. So possible we'll see a fifth one next year.
It's entirely possible. Hey, when they have a franchise, they're gonna milk it.
I know, like you said, they made less and less with each subsequent movie.
Hmm.
Um,
No, it's just that the third movie, Shipwrecked, made only 133 domestic, whereas the other two made 200 million plus. So
oh,
it
right,
just
right,
showed
right.
that the sequel has lost steam.
Okay, so the first one did 217 million in the U.S. With an opening of 44 million. The second one did even slightly better. It made 220 million in the U.S. with a even higher opening, 49 million. And the third one is when it dropped off precipitously, like
Half.
yeah, half.
Right.
It only grossed 133 million with an opening of 23 million. And this one it dropped by half again, except the opening dropped by half. It
Right.
opened at only about 14 million, but it looks like it'll get to 90 or 100 million, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
Let's see worldwide figures. Alvin and the Chipmunks. The first one made 361 million. The second one did a lot better, 443 million. The third one did 342 million. Overseas, they have been steady, even though domestically they have been dropping.
Again, it's one of those franchises that's kept alive by the overseas market.
Yeah, and because they're relatively cheap to make.
Right, right.
But I don't think they have much more than they probably have one more in them before they're like, oh, we either go direct to video or,
Oh
and
no,
I think they'll probably go direct to video after another one.
yeah, they're gonna reboot this thing. I'm sure.
Right,
Not just direct to video. They're gonna do that anyway, but they're gonna wait a couple
right.
years and just reboot this, and then they'll hire J.J. Abrams, and it'll be like a Star Wars movie.
Oh, and then there'll be a cinematic universe.
Right, right, right.
They might talk Josh Whedon into it.
He still has the Avengers to figure out.
No, he's not. He said he's not going to do any more Marvel movies because Age of Ultron broke him.
Oh, okay. So he's gonna
Yeah,
do these little indies now.
yeah. I read an interview. He said that film broke him.
Oh, that's what they all say. It's just the exhaustion from one of these big movies. After a couple years rest, he'll be back.
Yeah. That's what Donnie Yen said after he. I think there was this year when he made 3 or 4 films, and he was like, I'm retiring after this movie. No more movies. And
He's a
then
wimp. He's a wimp. I
yeah.
mean, they're like Indian actors who made like what 100 movies a day. So
And then a couple of weeks later, after New Year's and Christmas vacation, he signed up for like 6 more
right.
movies. So
Right.
I think like you said, Josh Whedon probably after a couple of years, he's like, I'm well rested. Give me more, give me DC comics too.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure he's locked up with Marvel.
he said that the film broke him. No more Marvel movies. But hey, like you said, it's probably just exhaustion talking.
Right. Just burned out, and he'll be back. I mean, I guess he just enjoys this too much. I mean, he has his TV. I mean, he might go back to TV for a number of years and then come back.
Well, according to the interview, he wants to make more indie films.
Oh, that's what they all say. But hey, sometimes the money's too good to turn away.
Yeah. Well, because he did the Marvel brand with TV and Age of Ultron, and I think the two of them together, he said, using the word broke.
Right. Yeah, that's just burnout. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, we digress again.
Yes. Okay. Let's move on to number 6, a movie called Joy. It is about the movie about the magic mop, the inventor of the magic mop. It's the reteaming of David O. Russell, Bradley Cooper, and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, the thing about the magic mop is they don't promote it in the trailer at all. All they promote is Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper. They're in a movie together. Go watch it.
If you like the Silver Linings Playbook, go watch Joy.
Yeah, and there's snow.
You're right.
You don't hear about the magic mop unless you read the synopsis.
And I don't think it's important, right? I think it's just like, hey, it's a woman who's trying to get by with her kids and created something that made her some money.
I'm surprised that the budget is $60 million though.
Well, it's kind of like a period piece though.
Yeah. I guess is it 80s or is it the 80s?
Whenever that is, well, whatever. The magic mop's the one that you can twist the handle, and I think itself rings itself.
Yeah, it seems like every director wants more money to make their films, and after the Silver Linings Playbook, they're like, "Hey, we got you the Oscars, we got you the box office. Give us more money."
Right, we want to get paid for this.
Right, but this one looks like, I don't know, at a budget of $60 million, and with the holidays over, I mean, sure, it's already made nearly $40 million, but I don't think it's gonna make much more than $60 million.
Yeah, but it looks like this is an awards play, kind of like the other ones. It's decently well reviewed, I guess, 60%. B+ cinema score, so the audience score is not that great.
Yeah, so and reviews on, because Silver Linings Playbook was really well reviewed, and so I don't think this will win. I think with 60% on the tomato meter. The only kind of films with that tomato meter that gets nominated, or Meryl Streep movies where she just does such a good job, is only her.
Right. Hey, Crash won the Best Picture, I think, with a 60% ish.
No, at the time it was 75%. I mean, I think Crash didn't age well. I think over time people have said that, hey, that movie didn't deserve Best Picture, and maybe what's the rating right now on Rotten Tomatoes for Crash?
Oh, I have to take a look, but I think I remember that it was around the 60 range. Let's see, Crash.
At the time, I remember it was around 75% though.
Yeah, I mean, even the director didn't think it should win, but right now 75.
Okay, so it's still at 75%. Okay.
Right. Yeah, Paul Haggis himself didn't think it.
Hey, man, I did create Rotten Tomatoes, so I do have my numbers. But hey, you were there too, so.
Well,
actually, both of us founded it, so.
Well, quote unquote, work there, but hey, you were working, I wasn't. Anyway, so yeah, Joy. It's one of those movies where I guess the story's good, but maybe kind of like Steve Jobs. People maybe doesn't want to watch a biopic about the creator of the magic mop.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you think with this, because Steve Jobs did get great, the solid reviews, 80%, above 80% on the tomato meter. But Joy, like you said, it's kind of like barely, 59%. The critical acclaim isn't there. Now it's just, the respect for the actors.
But then again, like once you have a couple pairings, people get tired of these kind of things. I think like another Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence movie.
Right. Well, at least this one did better than their previous pairing, which didn't even get released in theaters that many theaters.
No one knew about that movie because it wasn't promoted. They just kind of rushed it out and hope nobody saw it.
Yeah,
right?
they buried it. I think it
Yeah,
was one of those contractual releases. Like the actors are like, "Hey, we made this movie. You gotta release it."
yeah. It's one of those movies that ruin careers. You know, you made that, you were
Yeah,
in it.
right. Hey, at least compared to that, this did really well. But
Yeah, this
compared
is
to Silver Linings Playbook, it's kind of disappointing.
yeah, but yeah, yeah, I guess it's one of those movies where like all the actors and directors, yeah, enjoyed working together.
Right.
That's why we're seeing these frequent pairings.
Sometimes they just don't work out. The magic isn't there again, but it's not, it's not a dud. It's one
Hmm.
of those movies that are just there. Okay.
Right. I mean, when they
Won't,
read the
won't,
script,
won't,
they thought it
yeah,
would be better than what it is. But
yeah,
hey, like you say, it sometimes it just doesn't work.
yeah. And hey, it's better than having a dud.
Right,
You
right.
know,
And even though a movie is like very well reviewed, 90% or whatever on the tomato meter, sometimes the audience just doesn't like it.
yeah,
It's one of
yeah,
these
like
things
Steve
that you never
Jobs.
know. Right. Okay, let's move on to number seven, The Big Short. It made
Mhm.
about 10 million, what, 9 million over the weekend,
Yeah.
and in its fourth week of expanding.
Already made 33 million. So this film actually surprised me. I didn't think it would have mainstream appeal, but it looks like it's getting mainstream appeal.
Well, it's kind of mainstream-ish, not exactly mainstream. I mean, it was limited and it opened well. I mean, it did well, right? But I didn't think that it would do as well. Once it expanded, it's decent for such
Yeah,
a niche movie. Yeah, it's about I guess I don't know when the stock market crash of what when,
yeah,
which
it's about the housing bubble,
oh okay,
several years ago, and
no,
it's one of those.
are you sure it's not about the internet crash?
No, no,
The
no, no. It's the
1990?
housing bubble. It's the
Okay,
housing bubble.
all right.
So it's about how
Oh
all this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right.
It's about there's like a dozen people who saw it coming, who look at the numbers
Right.
and go, hey, the numbers don't work out.
Yeah, the
You can't
subprime
loan.
loans. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't give these loans to people who can't afford to pay for these houses. Eventually, it's gonna crash. And the pairing is odd because it's a dramedy, and they have Adam McKay who directed the Anchorman movies,
Yeah.
making a
Comedies. Yeah, comedy
yeah
director.
yeah making a movie on essentially a serious subject, but it's kind of that odd drama comedy movie. When I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, this is kind of an odd pairing of cast and subject matter. A comedy director making a film on a very serious subject matter, but making it slightly, comedic. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then you have Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Ryan
Mhm.
Gosling, Brad
Mhm.
Pitt, Melissa Leo, Marissa Tomei. I'm like, this it didn't feel right to me, but hey, for some reason it works.
Yeah, I mean, I knew about this movie. I heard about it. I knew that it would be, well reviewed and well regarded, but I didn't know that it would have such, like you say, a mainstream appeal, even though it's kind of only 30 some million right now.
Even the reviews are surprising to me. 87% on the tomato meter. I didn't think it would be that well reviewed, mainly because that not. I mean, if you look at the people involved, you're like,
Mhm.
hey, these are pretty good actors.
Mhm.
I just didn't think Adam McKay was the right person to direct a movie like this. But surprisingly, it worked out well. And even after seeing the reviews, I'm like, I don't think this will have that huge of an appeal. But it's already made 40 million. With the award season coming up, it looks like it'll be up for some awards, and it might have a leggy one, and it could make 60 or 70 million.
Yeah, well, like I said, this movie is kind of like Spotlight, right? It has all these casts, and
Yeah,
it's kind of one of those low-key movies, which is gaining steam. And of course, this one, The Big Short, has a better cast. Has Brad Pitt, Ron Gosling, right?
yeah.
So those kind of names will attract people.
I mean, it depends though. Sometimes you have these names and in these Oscar movies and nothing, and then sometimes something happens. It's so unpredictable.
Right.
Uh,
Even though we're saying this is it's only 33 million right now. I mean, not huge by all
yeah,
these
yeah,
big drama center. I mean, especially with the people involved. But hey,
yeah,
it's for a movie that's kind of about the stock market crash. You get a sense that it's kind of like The Walk. Oh, it's about some
yeah,
event that people might
yeah.
not be that interested in.
Right, right.
It's doing quite well.
Yeah, like you said, like Spotlight, one of the prizes. Because I'm sure if you ask people, they're like, hey, what's going to be the film that's going to break out? Most people would probably think, hey, Steve Jobs will be one of those movies that will break out. But instead, it looks like it's Spotlight and The Big Short.
Right.
All right, should we
All
move
right.
on?
Yeah, let's go to number 8. A movie called Concussion. It stars Will Smith as the doctor who kind of blew the whistle on, the injuries sustained by football players, NFL. And I guess the cover up, or I guess the pushback from the NFL about these injuries.
So is Will Smith going back to drama?
Yeah, it's Will Smith going to the small dramas like he
Yeah.
said he would do after Earth.
Right. So this is his Ali and his 7 pounds. Although the thing with him doing these movies for the award season is he's only semi-successful. Like the reviews have always been like Concussion, like 63%. Not great. Like even Ali, I think was only like 60 or 70%, probably closer to 60%.
Right. Before we move on, I want to mention that it made 8 million over the weekend, and in 2 weeks it made about 25 million.
As a budget of 35 million.
Yeah. So it's not one of his big budget blockbuster movies. In this movie, Will Smith actually acted. Kind of stretched himself a bit. He played a guy with an accent,
Right.
not his normal happy-go-lucky character guy. So
Not
this
playing
is
to his persona.
Yeah, and I think he's becoming better at these type of movies.
Well, he's always been
himself anymore.
Yeah, he's always been decent when he goes for one of these movies. Like even Ali, with Ali, people thought in technical terms he hit all the right notes, but with Ali, people said he hit all the right notes, but he didn't make the character his own. And Concussion might be another one of those technical performances where he hit the right notes, but he might not have transcend the character, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, but I guess it's getting better. Like you don't really recognize him in the role. He doesn't look like Will Smith.
Yeah, he's always good, but he hasn't been great in these. I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay, all right. Well, some actors doesn't really have that sort of range, regardless of what he does or how many times he does it.
Right.
So,
but I think one thing to know with these movies is like his previous one was Focus. And some people have written it off as disappointing. And Focus made like 50 million in the US. Worldwide, it made 150 million at a budget of around 50 million. And when you look at those numbers, that's pretty good, especially for a movie where he's not blowing things up and not blowing aliens up.
Right.
When you look at it, it's pretty good. And 50 million budgeted film making 3 times the cost is pretty good in any studio's terms.
Right. Hey, it has exotic locations. It has Will Smith.
Yeah.
It has a pretty good looking actress. Hey, good ingredients for overseas movie.
Yeah. Although I wonder how Concussion will do overseas.
No, I don't think this is an overseas movie. This is NFL, which is huge in US, but overseas is not that big.
Yeah, because overseas they play real football.
Right, the one where you use your legs.
Yeah, you actually kick the ball.
Right. So even though it has Will Smith's name in it, I don't think it's as action-packed, right? It doesn't really translate. I feel like the game and the drama or the concern or the injury concerns, right? People doesn't really know the sports.
Right.
I guess overseas is not. I don't think it's gonna do well. It would surprise me if it does, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, same here. I don't think you'll have overseas appeal either. Focus definitely has overseas appeal. You have beautiful people in a thriller.
Right, and of course they kept the budget low, so 35 million. So they know that's not going to make that much money back.
Yeah, they know that it probably doesn't have a market overseas with a $35 million budget.
Right. So normally the multiple is like what 2 times, right? So if they account for 2 times that, they're probably thinking 60 million, 70 million.
Yeah, worldwide. They'll probably make back their money in home video. It doesn't look like it'll turn them a profit in theaters.
It's not going to be a huge money maker if it does make money. So right, it's going to play on TV, of course. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to number 9, the Point Break remake. It pulled in 6.8 million over the weekend. In its second week, it did about 22 million. Uh, it has a 77% on the tomato meter.
At a budget of 105 million, I'm surprised.
No, you won't be surprised because it is one of those movies that are made for the overseas market, like we're saying.
Well, I'm surprised because Point Break, even the original Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze movie, it was just a cult hit. It wasn't a huge moneymaker. I think it made like 40 million ish, the original release. But the thing with it is, it did spawn the Fast and Furious movies. The first, Fast and Furious movie was pretty much a reboot slash remake of Point Break, and that turned out huge. And maybe they were looking at, this could be a potential Fast and Furious franchise, and maybe that's why they pour in 105 million. But if you just look at the original cult hit, there's no way you would pour in 105 million
Well,
into something like that.
yeah, the movie I think originally cast Gerard Butler as one of the characters.
Oh, and he backed out.
Yeah, and I think due, I guess conflicts with, some schedules or whatever, and then he got replaced by I think Edgar Ramirez.
Oh yeah, I could see.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they had Gerard Butler, this could work with Gerard Butler.
No, it sounds a bit better with Gerard Butler.
Yeah, but without him, yeah, you don't have much of a movie. I think if they were gonna remake Point Break, because the original one, the Cokehead, you need two people, kind of like the Fast and Furious films.
Mhm.
You do need a Gerard Butler. If Gerard Butler is playing the Patrick Swayze character, then you need someone
Right.
with the same caliber of Keanu Reeves. But right here, you have no one. With this remake, you have no one. You don't have the Patrick Swayze character or the Keanu Reeves figure.
That's why I say it's made for the overseas market. They knew. Okay, that's why they have all these extreme sports, these exotic locations, like skydiving in one of these
Well,
suits, right?
still, if
Uh,
you're gonna make this for the overseas market, you gotta cast someone with overseas appeal. But they have no one. None of these actors have overseas appeal.
right. That's where
So,
the extreme sports come into play. The extreme sports are the stars of the movie.
I don't know. I think extreme sports is more of a U.S. thing than overseas thing, though.
Well, I'm guessing it's different enough. Like it's a pull. That's what I'm saying. Like it did well in
Yeah.
China. The China figure is 40 million about.
Yeah, it did surprisingly. Yeah, it did surprisingly well in China. I'm not sure how well it's gonna do in the other markets, though.
Right, that's good enough, I guess. I don't know, but I'm saying it's a pull. The extreme sport is
Yeah.
the movie. That's why they didn't cast anybody. But yeah, the budget is a concern because hey, 105. Even if it stars Gerard Butler, I was like, hey, it's not a good idea to make a movie that people, it's a cult hit. It's not a big moneymaker, and remaking it probably
Well,
won't
well,
make you any more
well. Let's
money.
get back to that. Well, let's
Okay.
get back to the co-hit status. There are times when it works. The first Terminator 1, was a cult hit. It only made about 30 million. But when they made Terminator 2, that ended up making like 200 plus million. When you remake a cult hit, you gotta cast people who can transcend the material. And when you cast these pretty much no-namers, I mean, Ray Weinstein is more of a character actor. Edgar Ramirez, not a box office draw. Delroy Lindo, another, great character actor, but not a box office draw. Before you pour 105 million into remaking something like Point Break, I think missing out on Gerard Butler is a huge thing here.
Yeah, I think even if they have Gerard Butler, it's really cutting it close. I don't think like Point Break is one of those movies that would draw in a lot of people.
I think if you
It would
cast
do
it,
a bit. It would do a bit
Yeah.
better, I think, but
I
not.
think if you cast the right people, because Gerard Butler, when you put him in the right movies, can open a movie and turn it into a 100 million movie.
Okay, okay.
Like what is it? It's not White House Down, but the other one.
Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah, Olympus Has Fallen. Like you put him in the right action movies, it'll do really well. And Point Break could be maybe Gerard Butler because he already had a dud with surfing. He didn't want to get near it. But this is the type of movie that I feel like Gerard Butler could open. Once they didn't get him, I thought they should at least try to get another. It's one of those movies you need two people. and they didn't have any of them. Maybe you're right. Maybe this extreme sports does appeal overseas, but I don't know. Which is a weird thing. I didn't think extreme sports would be appealing to the Chinese audience, but it made 40 million in China, which is a lot better than how it's doing here. And I don't know why it even made that much. It'll be interesting to see if it translates beyond China.
I don't think it will. You
Yeah,
know,
because usually movies that translate beyond China will translate to the other markets. Like Russia is pretty big market, and it didn't do that well there. And
yeah, yeah. It's just that I think in other countries the special effects, it's kind of common thing, right? As you say, there's nobody here for people to latch onto or to want to watch, right? And
yeah.
extreme sports, they call it extreme for a reason. It's kind of niche, right? People don't really
Oh, you know what?
participate in it.
I think I know why it's doing well in China. It was distributed by Lionsgate in China. Unless they have it wrong here in Box Office Mojo. They spelled it as separate words. Unless Lionsgate is a Chinese distributor.
Right, right, and that is important. How?
Well, Lionsgate, has the expendable movies and which have all done well in China. They release a bunch of Jason Statham and Jet Li movies in China, which have also done decent. So if it's the same Lionsgate company, maybe that's why it's done well because they know how to market the film in China. But they spelled it as two words, so maybe it's a Chinese distributor, not the Lionsgate film studio that we all know and some love.
Okay. But in any case, right, it's gonna bomb here. It's second week. It's number 9,
Yeah.
22 million. It's gonna fall off from there.
Yeah.
Hopefully it can get rescued overseas, but I don't think it will be that huge overseas. There's the extreme sports, but hey, I don't think anyone would want to go and watch a movie with extreme sports in it. And Point Break is not. It might have a cult following here, but I don't think it has a cult following overseas.
Right. It's weird when it's all said and done. We'll see how it does in other territories. But if it doesn't do well in other territories, I'm curious to see why it made 40 million in China. I don't know what the appeal is.
Well, I think it's just different enough, right? The extreme sport is, I think it's kind of new to the Chinese audience, so that's why there is that appeal there. But I think elsewhere, I don't think it'll appeal to people elsewhere.
Yeah, like you said, it could just be it's such a different movie to the Chinese audience. It's something that they don't see much of,
right.
And maybe that's why they went out to see it. But we'll see in the future and how it does in other territories like Brazil or Japan or South Korea. But so far it's not looking good.
All right. How about we move on to number 10, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. It made 4.6 million over the weekend, and in 7th week, it made 274 million.
What's the worldwide figure at now?
Worldwide is 635.
Well, with good numbers, which is why Lionsgate is trying to milk it more with prequels.
Are they making prequels?
Yeah, it was announced they're making Hunger Games prequels.
Really? Yeah, okay. I wasn't up to date on the news.
Well, it's kind of like The Hobbit, right?
Well, The Hobbit makes sense.
There was a book. Yeah, this one, I wonder if they're going to create their own story or they're going to get the original author to author some prequels.
I think they're going to go with the author because it would lend legitimacy to it.
Oh, yeah, kind of like how J.K. Rowling is doing the Harry Potter prequels.
Yeah, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Right. Okay, so Mockingjay 234 so far, compared to the other Hunger Games movies, is by far the lowest. The best being the second film, it made 425 million, and then the first one made 408. Mockingjay Part 1 made 337, and this one looks like it's not going to reach 300 million domestically. Worldwide is also the lowest grossing one. Again, it's the second Hunger Games movie, Catching Fire, made 865 million. Oh, surprisingly, Mockingjay Part 1 is the second highest, 755 million. And the original Hunger Games made 694 million. So Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 will probably also be the lowest grossing of the franchise worldwide too.
Well, we haven't took into account the prequels yet. I think those will be
Yeah.
the lowest grossing
Yeah.
movies.
But I'm sure with the prequels, they're gonna lower their budgets to account for that.
Yeah, talk about milking a franchise. Wow.
And then after
Okay.
the prequels, they're gonna do sequels. You know what? They might follow the Star Wars route and hire J.J. Abrams to make the sequels after the prequels. After the prequels completely anger fans like the Star Wars prequels, they're gonna hire J.J. Abrams to do a sequel and make it very similar to the original ones and
Right,
get all
right.
the
Okay.
fans back.
Right,
So
right.
you piss them off and then you get them back by giving them more of the original.
Okay. It just go to show you that Lionsgate doesn't have anything a big franchise to milk anymore after
Yeah,
Hunger
because
Games.
because even the Divergent series or sliding downwards,
Right,
by
right.
20-30%.
Remember, Lionsgate is kind of like a mid-level studio
Yeah,
before the Hunger Games.
yeah, they were pretty much just popular for making the Jason Statham movies,
Uh-huh.
and before that the Jet Li movies.
Right, and then they got money and they started making bigger budget movies. And
Yeah.
afterward, like you
Oh,
say, that the Divergent movies aren't doing so well.
we
So,
forgot about the Expendables.
right, right.
So I mean, these Expendables, they might make a part four just because it is doing progressively better in China.
And it will take place exclusively in China.
Yeah, I think if they with number four, they have to cast Jackie Chan
Wait, is he
because if
still big in China?
he's bigger than ever in China. Each of his
Oh,
previous films have grossed like 100 million in China
yeah.
or near
I
it.
thought I thought they would cast another Asian actors, more well known, not
No,
Jet
no,
Li, but
Jackie Chan is
you know.
in terms of action movies. Jackie Chan is still the number one action star in China. I mean, there's Wu Jing, who's since he announced that after he broke his leg, he said that, hey, I'm probably going to retire. And then his next two movies, Wolf Warrior and SPL2, the gangbusters. Each of them made about 80 million in China. And now they just recently announced sequels for both of those films.
Right. They
So
just
now,
replaced his leg with a bionic one, right? Robotic leg.
yeah, right. So Jackie Chan is still the number one action star in China. It looks like right now Wu Jing is the second one. Jet Li hasn't made a movie in a while because of his health issues. And Donnie Yen with Ip Man 3 will probably get back up there, but Donnie Yen, his past few films hasn't done that well in China. But Jackie Chan's been super consistent. He's, you put him in a Chinese action comedy or action movie or comedy, and they'll make 100 million in China, which is probably why we haven't seen him lately in the US because he's making more money in China than in the
Right.
US.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, another digression. Let's talk about the Good Dinosaur, number 11.
Okay.
115 million total. Doesn't look like probably top off at 120 million, 25 million, and it's going to be probably the lowest grossing Pixar movie.
It is the lowest grossing Pixar movie.
And the worldwide figure is only 243 million. It's weird because the reviews were decent, 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it dropped down to like 70% now, but still, reviews are decent. It was a trouble production, and Jurassic World was such a huge hit. The disappointing performance in relative terms probably surprised a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're seeing the result of, I think, a couple of bad movies by Pixar standard. And we're seeing the Good Dinosaur taking the brunt of it. It's like, when people talk about like Pixar losing its way, losing in quality, before people say, oh, it's a Pixar movie, and they would go out to watch it right now, it's like the Pixar brand doesn't have that much sway, I think, anymore.
I would agree with that only partially because, Inside Out became such a huge critical and commercial success that I thought it brought them up. It brought their the luster, the Pixar luster back up there. But, the Good Dinosaur kind of took them back down to their, their Cars 2 days.
Right.
Cars 2 and Brave days.
Right. Before it was like unconditional, right? Oh, Pixar movie.
Yeah, you put out a Pixar movie.
Right.
Yeah, go watch it. It's gonna make 200 million. It's gonna get 90% on the tomato meter, automatic.
Right.
But not anymore.
So we're seeing the brand taking a beating now. It's you can just
Yeah,
slap a name Pixar on it and expect people to. Now people say, "Is it going to be good?" There's this.
yeah,
People are going to question the quality now
yeah.
because is it
People
going to be
people are
another
gonna go.
Brave, right?
Yeah, well, they're gonna be like, I think they're gonna think, is this gonna be Inside Out or is this gonna be Cars 2?
Right, right.
Um,
So I think that's why we're like I say, we're seeing the Good Dinosaur is taking a beating with the brand name. It's like you can't slap on the brand anymore, and you have to make something that appeals. I mean, I think Pixar has to work harder now, which might
yeah,
not be a bad thing.
so the Pixar luster kind of transferred to the Disney animation studio because now it's more like with Frozen and with Tango and with Wreck-It Ralph, the Disney animation studio is actually the better, not the better, has more of that respectability. It's more the respectable studio now.
Yeah, I think also the Disney animation department has the benefit of more attention.
John Lasseter,
Yeah,
yeah,
John Last,
well,
that too. But I think it's
yeah,
like, okay, Disney animation is in trouble. Go fix it, right? So they,
yeah,
funnel the resources to fix Disney animation while leaving Pixar to its own
slightly
devices.
neglected. Yeah,
Right, right, exactly.
yeah. And well, the weird thing is, like, I'm surprised John Lasseter would continue to make more Cars. Sure, the Cars films, the merchandising has been, it makes billions of dollars in merchandising, and you have to refresh it. But I thought John Lasseter, when they made Toy Story 2, and they were gonna make a direct-to-video one, and he saw the quality, he just threw everything, threw Toy Story 2 in the trash can, and completely made a movie from scratch. And he told everyone, he vowed that, hey, we're never gonna go this route. We're not gonna make low quality stuff just to make money. And he's doing it with Cars 2 and Cars 3, which is they're pretty much making it just for the money because as a film franchise, it's not a respected franchise. It's kind of people think it's the moldy part of the Pixar muffin.
Well, I think John Lasseter, his role has changed, right? I think it's kind of like
Yeah,
what happened. Let's tie it to George Lucas. Hey, George Lucas, the director, is different from George Lucas, the executive, right?
yeah, yeah,
Once he created ILM, his I think his focus changed. It's the same with John Lasseter, right? He was in charge of Pixar. He has all these
yeah,
movies, has all these people. Now he became, head of Disney animation, that which includes Pixar as well.
yeah. I think once you
And he has a
sell your
balance sheet,
company,
right? Yeah, yeah. He has this
yeah,
balance sheet that he needs to take care of.
yeah. Yeah, once Pixar is sold to Disney, they're like, hey, you can't just focus on quality anymore. You gotta remember there's a revenue side. We
Right.
pay billions of dollars for your company. We need to make that money back. And Cars make a lot of money. And even though, the films, people think the films are crap. The
Right.
merchandising makes us billions. You're
Hmm.
paying us back. We pay billions for you, and this is the franchise that's getting us billions in return.
Yeah.
And so
And and
go to
and now
movies are crap.
you're seeing all these sequels like Finding Dory,
Yeah,
Toy Story 4,
yeah,
Cars 3, and more monster movies, right?
yeah, right. Once you sold yourself to a public company,
Right, right. Before they
it,
were like I think contracting with Disney, right? Okay, well
yeah,
Disney will release your movie regardless how long it
yeah,
takes, right? Right now it's like okay, you need to pump out two a year.
yeah. Plus, before they also had Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs is a perfectionist,
Hmm.
and I'm sure with Steve Jobs and John Lasseter, they're like, hey, you don't give me crap because they probably know that Steve Jobs won't take crap.
Right, right.
You-
He can
like,
push back. He has the power to push back, right? But this one,
yeah,
I don't think anyone's speaking up for these people. They just
yeah.
know there's a
I think
deadline.
especially after calls, maybe even after the first calls, Steve Jobs will probably tell them like, no more calls, okay? Especially now, I think if Steve Jobs was still running the company, they wouldn't even dare to bring up Cause 3 in front of his face. It's probably an automatic fire. Like, Cause 3, you're fired.
Yeah, I mean when they're an independent company, they wouldn't think about sequels. They want to create all these characters, all these new things. But right now, because they need to fill in the schedule, it's all about the sequels.
because they need to make the Disney shareholders happy.
Right, right.
It's very obvious, but it does take some of that luster off the brand, though.
Right, but that's why we're seeing the Good Dinosaur. I think we might see more Good Dinosaurs.
In terms of quality of films, or
No, in terms of box office performance, I mean, like I say, it's not automatic
yeah,
anymore. I think we're gonna
yeah,
see a more, you couldn't stay on top forever, right? I think,
yeah,
the situation changed that we're gonna see more Pixar movies that fail to crack 200 million.
yeah. I mean, every studio has its peaks and valleys, and
Hmm.
now we're seeing Pixar actually, they reached their peak, and now they're kind of going up and down now. You got Inside Out,
Hmm.
which brought them back up, and then you have the Good Dinosaur, which
Right.
kicked them back down.
But I would have to say that Inside Out is kind of like the exception right now, right?
Yeah,
It was that
yeah,
one good point. It's like, wow, Pixar is back. But then the Good
yeah.
Dinosaur.
Right. We'll have to see what comes next. Is Finding Dory, right?
It's Finding Dory, but then with sequels, right after a certain point, you start seeing, hey, these guys are repeating themselves. Regardless how
Yeah,
good the animation is, these stories are blending
yeah.
together.
Well, it depends unless Finding Dory ends up being Toy Story 2. Because Toy Story 2, most people thought was better than the original Toy Story.
Right,
So
that's true.
we'll have to see if Toy Story 2 ends up being just kind of like okay, then people are like, all
Finding
right,
Dory, yeah, Finding Dory.
yeah, Finding Dory, yeah,
Yeah, I think just goodwill alone, I think Finding Dory is gonna do decent.
yeah. Let's
Hey,
move
so
on. You want to talk about Creed?
yeah, Creed came in number 12. Made about 4 million in its 6 week, and it crossed 100 million. Made 103 million. So
Yeah, and
quite well.
Creed is interesting because it's kind of like Star Wars, where they pretty much remade a known brand and franchise, and the filmmaker knew what fans originally drawn to in the original films, and they just remade it and did a really good job of capturing the original essence of the original Rocky. To me, I felt like Creed did an even better job with that than Star Wars, but Star Wars is doing gangbusters, doing a lot better. Creed did pretty well too. We have two films that took the same approach and did really well.
Yeah, it's the new trend in filmmaking. It's the reboot by way of sequel. Uh,
Yeah.
where it's the same story. Similar characters.
They're telling it in a slightly different angle with a slightly different cast, with a slightly different wrinkle, and
Yeah, but it's actually a reboot.
yeah, it's pretty much a reboot. We call it a spin-off, but it really follows the template.
Yes. Same with the Force Awakens. People say, hey,
Yeah,
it's really a new hope.
yeah, exactly. And Creed is really the first Rocky. And
Okay.
nothing against
Yeah.
him, but if you do it really. These are examples of how you can reboot films really well. Okay, should we
Okay.
finally move on?
Yes, let's go to the openings. We have
Right.
two.
We have
Uh,
two wide releases.
well, one expanded. The
Oh, okay.
Revenant is expanding this week,
Oh, okay.
and the horror film The Forest. Okay, we should start with The Revenant, which stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, Lucas Haas, directed by Alessandro Gonzalez Ritu.
I'm not gonna even try to correct you.
All right, that's good enough. The guy who directed, Birdman, which won Best Picture last year, 21 Grams and Amaro Peros.
All very good movies.
Yes.
And looks like The Revenant is another one. 82% on the tomato meter. It's another one of those movies talked about with Oscar buzz with Leonardo DiCaprio. So with a person who can actually open a film, and Tom Hardy too, right?
Tom Hardy,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
I've seen Leonardo DiCaprio in films that I didn't think would open, but he was able to open them. So
Yeah, this movie, it's kind of a heavy movie. It's not
yeah,
a uplifting one. Like, he plays a guy who is left for dead by his team member, right? Buried. He injured himself, got mauled by a bear, and then he's left for dead because he's injured. They don't want to carry him back to town, so they
mhm.
try to kill him off. And that group kills someone close to him, and he's out for revenge while trying to survive in the wilderness, tracking those people down. It's not going to be a happy ending. All right. It opened in limited, during the the Christmas holidays, right? It has, I think, a theory average of 118,000.
That's pretty good.
In the second weekend, it's still like in four theaters. It's still around the same thing. Now right now it's in its third weekend and it's expanding wide.
What number are you putting it at?
I think probably in the maybe 15 million ish range.
Yeah, 3,000 theaters. I'm thinking that too. The subject matter is kind of heavy. It doesn't seem like it would have the same kind of appeal as Wolf of Wall Street or Great Gatsby or Django Unchained.
Everything is kind of visceral, right? It's like the cold, the colors, winter. It's not a happy movie. It's not an uplifting movie. Not something that you want to feel right now.
Well, it is January, so.
It is January, but you don't want to add to the feeling.
Right.
At least that's what I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. If the movie does better than 15, I would be like, man, people would go and watch anything by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Normally, Leonardo DiCaprio, his choices are pretty good, I think.
Yeah, he
doesn't.
he works with the best directors.
Yes.
So he works with great talent.
Yes, and Inarritu is no slouch. I mean, his stuff are always good.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, I'm surprised the budget is 135 million.
Leonardo probably took about 20 of those.
Because the subject matter doesn't seem like a very mainstream subject matter that they would go, whoa, this movie is gonna make 200 million. I mean, if you're gonna you're gonna budget a film at 135 million, you're thinking this movie will make 200, 300 million. And
Well,
watching the trailers, I didn't think that it has that kind of mainstream appeal.
well, perhaps they know something that we don't.
Yeah, perhaps.
But I see it opening on Christmas weekend, right? It did about like 474,000, right? And the second weekend, like New Year's Eve, it did about 415K. Who knows?
The screen averages have been amazing, though. 100,000 plus consistently. You know what? Maybe we might be underestimating it. I can see one weekend with a per screen average of 100,000 plus, but 2 weekends in a row is very good. I might have to up my figure. You're going with 15. I might have to just up it to 25 million. I'll just go with a different number just so that something to argue with you about next week.
All right. But like I said, I'm not going to be surprised if it made 25 because, hey, it is Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, right?
Yeah.
There is a market for people who want to watch these heavy dramas.
Wow, it's also Rated R. A Rated R movie, 135 million budget. Man, I don't know what they're thinking here.
and 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, holy moly. Yeah, 2.5 hours long. Man, okay, I think I'm overestimating, but I'll stick with it. 25 million, you're 15 million. I think you're going to be more right than I am, though. I was originally going to agree with you.
We'll see next week and see how well it does.
It'll be interesting to see how well the Revenant does. But with a 135 million budget, that kind of budget, you have to open it to 40 million range. And opening it in January means that they really don't have that much confidence in it or very high prospects.
Yeah, either that or hey, it's a good time to release it because there's really nothing else going on at this time besides Star Wars. And I guess maybe it gives the movie space for people to discover it. Hey, you're gonna watch The Revenant or you're gonna watch The Forest.
Right.
I'm gonna go with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy.
This is like the kind of movie where you think the studios, after looking at some data, will say, hey, no. Like 2.5 hours long, Rated R, 135 million, a very heavy subject matter. You would think they would at least lower the budget some.
Yeah, but then you say, hey, Leonardo's interested in it, Tom Hardy's interested in it. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, and the guy who just won an Oscar is
Yeah,
interested in it. Let's just give them whatever they want.
right. I mean, who knows? It might surprise us, right? This movie.
Yeah. Well, I thought Pan would surprise us. Pan was like, I mean, both of us were.
No,
Yeah, both of us thought. Yeah. I wasn't surprised, but when I saw the budget, I was like, wait a minute, they pour how much money into Pan? And I was like, well, with that much money, it has to at least open in the 50 million range. And even both of us were predicting way below that because both of us thought it was such an odd looking film.
Right, and there's also the other movie, right, In the Heart of the Sea, which is Moby Dick. That one bombed too.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Let's go to The Forest. It's one of those typical horror movies that are released in January. It stars basically nobody.
And these horror movies tend to do well at this time.
I guess.
Yeah. Are there any no names?
Well,
Director?
you could say Natalie Dormer, who was in The Hunger Games. Yeah, but other than that, no.
It's rated PG-13. So it's part of the whole Conjuring type of horror movies where, it's not rated at all. It's more family friendly. I mean, the trailer is kind of creepy, but
Yeah, it's okay. The trailer played in front of The Martian. I took my kids to watch it, and they were scared.
so what number are you going with?
I am going with 10.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too. I'm going with 10 too.
It's a horror movie with no names, no gore.
Although the no gore type of horror films have been doing better than the gory ones lately, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But again, you missed out on the other people who kind of want to watch these gory
Yeah.
stuff.
At least they're trending to the non-gore, non-TNA horror movies.
True, but these things come and go, right? They go in
Right.
cycle. Oh, right now, gore is huge. We're gonna make more. Oh, right
Yeah.
now the creepy stuff's huge.
Yeah.
We're gonna make more. We need more
Yeah.
skin.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
Right.
come back next week since we don't have the holiday festivities anymore. Hopefully, no one is sick. We're
Yeah.
still sick. So we'll come back next week and see how our predictions went.
And we'll probably end up talking more Star Wars.
Yeah, another record.
It'll be interesting though, because next week is usually the slow week. So we'll see if Star Wars will follow that trend or if it'll continue to do well.
No, even if it dropped half, it's still 44 million. Still pretty good.
Yeah, it'll still be number one. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Tune in next week.
All right. See you guys next week.